Nobody really knows anyway. We're just all bumper cars, going down the road.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Spatial Spectacle. I'm your host Stephanie, and this week's guest is Allie Hall of Align Massage Studios in Portsmouth, Ohio. Allie's been a lifelong friend of mine and truly a healer, and I can't wait to share our conversation. Here's part 1, and you can catch the whole thing on our Patreon. The link's in the description. Here's Allie. So tell me about your newest venture.
Yeah, so I am starting a business finally. And similarly to you, right? It's this thing that's been churning for a while, right? So I wasn't really sure what avenue I wanted to take, but I knew my destination was going to have to be queer visibility in Portsmouth, right?
Sure.
And I've really just been struggling with like, how do I make this happen in my life with all the things I have to like keep in order? So honestly, kind of like a tower moment happened, and I didn't have much choice other than like force myself down this path, right? So I'm glad that the path has like been as forceful as it was at the end of last year. For me, I was like, I am dying, like my soul is dying in what I'm doing, and traveling away from home was like overwhelming, and I was heartsick. So things lined up in just the right order, and I left my job in December, and I took out some of my retirement, and I said, this is what I'm doing. It's going to take me a year to get to where I'm able to like serve people in the community. And in this already in this like 4 months, yeah, almost 5 months now, 5 months that I've stepped away from like the script of my life, or the like the norm of like full-time job, and being here in the area all the time. And it's like I've actually got to look at myself for the first time and like be introspective. So it hasn't just been about eventually showing up for other people. It's now about showing up for myself, which is like what I've needed all along. So that's what I'm
Yes.
doing. And so now the vehicle is going to be massage therapy. I'm in school for massage therapy, and um it's a perfect combination of what I've been wanting to do. So I get to have my own business. I get to hopefully serve the clientele that I'm really seeking to, which is underserved, communities around this tri-state area. And then yeah, being the person I need to be for myself. So it's
I
great.
feel that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Tell me a little
totally
bit about you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
you're gonna it's fine. You can interview me. I'm fine with that.
Well, I haven't caught up with you in such a long time. Are you in Portland still?
I am not. I moved
Okay.
to Columbus in September of last year,
Mhm.
2022. Um, okay. I guess I moved to Grove City. Then I moved back to Columbus, or back to Ohio in like June-ish,
Mhm.
July. I can't really remember. It was hot. It was so hot. I think it was July, but who knows? It
Right.
all was like a big blur. Like it it's funny because I, you know, whenever I moved to the West Coast, it was right before COVID.
Mhm.
So I had a good, like, I moved there in October, and then the pandemic started in what, like January, February, March ish.
Mhm.
And so I did get to experience Portland before that, but during the pandemic, it was so enlightening for me because there was the BLM protests going on like
Mhm.
right in front of my apartment.
Mhm.
And there was a lot of turmoil in the streets. Not only that obviously did not bother me. They were very peaceful.
Mhm.
But then like the Proud Boys came in, I smoked cigarettes, so I would be out there all the time smoking and like
Mhm.
just watching, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And there was a time where um this guy, and now I recognize him, he's been tried for like the insurrection and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, he like dropped a brick like in front of the Starbucks that was underneath my apartment, and then like another guy rode up and like threw the brick through the window, making it look like BLM protesters were being destructive.
Right, right.
And they never ever were. It was always peaceful. I sat and I watched it unfold real
Mm-hmm.
time from the
Mm-hmm.
beginning until, you know, I mean, they did it for straight like hundreds of days, you
Mm.
know, straight. And the weather
Mm-hmm.
in Portland is not very fun. Like
Right.
it rains all the time. Like it rained the first 50 days I was out there.
Ooh.
Yeah. So like I'm like struggling with like seasonal depression and like
Yeah.
going through the pandemic, being completely cut off from everybody but my boyfriend, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And it was a real struggle because like it was the first time like we were living together
Mm-hmm.
and we come from vastly different backgrounds. So like we're trying to navigate like each other
Mm-hmm.
all the while like being forced to just be with each other, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, and I was like drinking, like I was a hot mess. It was the tower moment for me too.
Right. Right.
And I had
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 years of just this like crumbling abyss.
Right.
And it was like after my, you know, a couple years after my divorce from, you know, my ex, and like, you know, I completely changed my direction because I
Mm-hmm.
was like, something's got to give. So I went to Portland and I got a job in the cannabis industry.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely loved working with
Yeah.
cannabis because
Yeah.
you know, I would take pictures of it. So then it would be like, you know, it would be contaminated, the product that I was taking pictures of. So like my boss is like, I won't tell if you don't, you know what I mean? I'm like, sweet, like,
Thank you very much.
uh-huh. And
Yeah.
that's honestly the only thing that saved my ass. I'm telling you, because
Yeah.
I was in a weird place. But again, I was like, excuse me, going off my path too. And it's
Right.
like,
Right.
though I love cannabis and I love working in marketing and that kind of thing, and I still like dabble in it, obviously, for my
Mm-hmm.
current business, but
Mm-hmm.
I lost my job in the cannabis industry because the wildfires like wiped out like 90% of the farms.
That's terrible.
It was terrible. It was really sad. And yeah, that too, like, because during the pandemic, John and I are like, let's just go down the coast, you know, and
Yeah.
get out of here. Like, technically, we weren't supposed to leave. Like, Oregon was very strict
Yeah.
about stuff during the pandemic. So I didn't care. I'm like, take me to jail. I don't care. Like, I'm going out.
Yeah. You need a moment, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
You
we're
were
like,
yeah.
you were out there, and it sucked because like we got COVID like right whenever y'all came out.
Yeah. Yeah. That was rough.
I did like Washington though.
Yeah.
Washington was
It's
dope.
beautiful. Yeah.
And Oregon's beautiful. We went down the coast and like it was just magic, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And that's whenever I started like really come to Jesus moment, you know, but only Jesus is yourself, you
Right.
know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
come to me moment. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is your goal here? Like, what do you want to experience? You're the author of your life, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the backdrop of this is, you know, the Oregon coast, just absolutely beautiful, but frigid at the same time. It,
Yeah.
it just really was symbolic because like I knew I was safe, I was okay, but I
Mhm.
also knew that, you know, not every path is just without a hitch, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
So I started Rose City Raven,
Mm-hmm.
and I have been doing that. I like utilized the stimulus money
Mm-hmm.
to start a business,
Right.
and I've been doing that. You know, sell um, divination tools and herbs and crystals, books, just the things that I found along my path that have been beneficial to me. And because I really enjoy the different perspectives, I still enjoy picking up a book and reading a
Mm-hmm.
book, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, do I always finish said book? Sometimes I don't.
Right? Same, same.
But yeah, that's and it's online only, so I could really work from anywhere. So I brought it along with me whenever we moved from Oregon back to Ohio to be, closer to family. And just it I was just I needed to be with my people, and it was really hard for me to find a tribe when
Hmm.
everything was locked up and locked
I
down.
imagine. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, it's interesting you bring that up. I think the tribes we found were online, you know. Uh,
Hmm.
for myself, I've been on TikTok for 3 years, and to be honest with you, I've never felt more of a belonging than I have found on that app with folks from everywhere, of course, and um allowing like alternative life paths to be like showcased in a way that you can't feel in a place like this. You can't, there aren't enough of us to like congregate and say, I got you, but during the pandemic, especially when we were all like, when everybody was segregated and everybody was in their silos, I felt like the belonging in the community came for me from TikTok for sure. And then that's like transpired into me having more awareness about myself, and then also just like being able to open up my mind to things I didn't even know existed, and just people, right? Just people and
Yeah.
humanity. So yeah, it's no wonder that uh certain folks, certain conservatives are worried about that app so much, because it goes against a lot of belief systems that have really oppressed all of us all this time. So
You're absolutely right. And I am also incredibly thrilled about that because I really don't think that it's not serving anyone to divide and conquer like that,
hmm, hmm,
and until met people that were different than me,
hmm,
and really started to get to know them, then
right,
I realized, but I think a lot of these people don't get to experience that maybe,
yeah,
and I try to like see the good in people because you know, I know that everyone is inherently hateful,
right, right,
I think that it's a fear-based reaction,
absolutely,
knee
yeah,
jerk, like, oh my gosh, they look different than me. This
hmm,
is wrong. This is against society's construct that we've lived for a very long time. But I feel like you know, these planets in Aquarius, the quote unquote age of Aquarius, is
hmm,
really shifting in real time. The explosion of technology and how it can benefit each other and have a connection on a different level, you know?
absolutely, yeah. We're coming up on a few more years at the crest of that, right? At the age of Aquarius. I'm not sure how many more years, but it's you can almost feel the wave of it, like you're saying, and
Yeah.
not just that, but Aquarians like myself are like
My
really
favorites.
are really connected to
Technology,
serving
number one, innovation, like,
innovation and even
yeah,
serving the greater good of community, like humanitarian efforts, right? So if you
yeah.
can combine those two things, you're right. It's like this is where we're moving towards as, you know, hopefully as a world, but we'll see what happens.
As a Libra, I think that Aquarians should rule the world. Truly,
Thanks.
it should be a prerequisite. My boyfriend is an Aquarius too, so
Okay.
he's very, I mean, and all those things are true. And
Yeah.
I have an Aquarius rising, and
Mhm.
and it shows.
Great. We don't get the best rap all the time.
You
We're
know
often
what?
said
I
that we're a
know, but I get
blue
them. I
moon, but
understand, even when
it's
I
not
don't.
true, right? I get them too. I'll tell you that.
I think Geminis get a bad rap too.
That's true.
I
Yeah,
think pretty much I'm trying to think of them. Well, yeah, it's about to be Gemini season. I'm just trying to show them a little bit of love.
that's good. That's good.
We need more love in the world.
We do. We do. I like it.
Yeah. So tell me about your massage therapy journey. I enjoy that you're doing the healing modality of massage because,
Mhm.
oh, it works.
Yes, it does. It started for me with receiving massage, right? It's helped me tremendously connect to myself, connect to my body, connect to my spirit. So in the last probably 2 or 3 years, as I traveled away for work, I was able to go to places in Salt Lake City, oftentimes that really focused on healing of self. So I want to bring that here. And of course, there are options here in Soda County as well as, in the area. Um, so I'm going to bring my own flavor into that space, right? And I really want to focus on, being informed about generational trauma, being informed about ableism, being informed about the patriarchal ideologies, like I said, that really do oppress otherness, and just having a space that people can belong to in their full self without having to um recall the shame that is put on us oftentimes being other, the shame being mocked or threatened by uh anyone or any, let's say, institution that does try to separate otherness and put us in a category that it should be shunned away or kept in quiet. So I just want a space that people can belong to. I want a space that and a service that heals from the inside out, and I want to be a person that someone can just show up as themselves completely without shame or fear and be able to communicate with me so that I can truly help them and address um, their needs in my practice of massage therapy. So that's the goal. It feels big, but I'm working towards it day by day. So
I
let's
love
see
that
what
goal.
happens.
I
Thank you.
love that goal because there
Thank you.
needs to be more spaces that are, you know, inclusive. There's absolutely no reason why we need to be separated. We
Mm-hmm.
are all connected in one way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult to watch people be hateful to others,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and just simply because they don't understand. And then it just, the fear kind of snowballs, their fear snowballs onto, other people's, and that turns into a fear because people are getting, attacked and
Yeah.
treated really poorly just
Mm-hmm.
because something silly that doesn't affect, like that, you being a lesbian does not affect me in any way.
Right. Right.
I mean,
Thanks for saying that.
it
Yeah.
just doesn't, you know what
Right.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it does not affect our friendship. It
Right.
certainly doesn't, you know affect our bond and connection as friends.
Right.
That's just so silly to me.
Right.
And it's always been silly to me to, when people are like, oh well, they're, black, or they're Asian or whatever. And it's like, I just, okay, we all have the same blood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our personhood has to come first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's really important because whenever you do feel those times of fear, I feel like what helped me the most was coming back to myself. Like
Mhm.
me saying, you being whatever, many, many different characteristics you identify as,
Right.
all of those things don't affect me. So, if I'm afraid of that, come to yourself and
Mm-hmm.
really kind of ponder, like, hey, like, why is this triggering me specifically?
Exactly. Exactly.
Because it's my problem, it's not your problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it took me a
That's
long time to really come to that, moment, because for a very long time, I would personally project like my fears on other people,
mm-hmm.
And that's just like, okay, well, you got to come back and figure this out. It's obvious freaking out about things that you can't control is obviously not working. So find something else to do, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I mean, my guides, like, have a really funny way of communicating with me. And I think that's just because that's my humor too. Like,
Mhm.
I I can, and it's these just synchronicities that happen in my life. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you
It's funny
know,
you talk about your guides. I was recently in Sedona, Arizona, and with some friends and with my partner Mackenzie, and we had an Akashic Records reading. We each
beautiful.
did. Yes, it was beautiful. And in fact, I was informed about my main spirit guide. And oh my goodness, the things that were said about how Pauline is her name communicates with me, I was like, that makes so much sense. And she's like, you have to learn Pauline, the not the Akashic Records reader, but my spirit guide was telling the reader like Allie needs to be more discerning about where she puts her energy and all these things about what I've been attracting into my life and how to heal from within and my spirit guide is like sort of like described as this Italian small Italian woman with a big voice and a big presence and energy. And I was like, wow, this whole time I've felt these pulls, these synchronicities that happen, right? And this guidance that's happened without explanation. I feel like we can all really tap into that if we're willing to. And just learning about it and also learning about, my my aura, my soul, and how many times my soul is visited, and all of these really interesting facts. And just, in fact, also experiencing Reiki, not at that trip, but in Salt Lake City. I was in the I had the opportunity to go to a Reiki master a few times, and it's just like all of these experiences are just starting to fill the bucket. And I'm starting to realize that there's just so much more that can be understood and learned. And it really, like you said, starts inside you. And I'm just excited about what that journey looks like for me and for you as well. And then how can we start connecting people in real time like this and in real life through a business and through your business. And that's what we're supposed to be doing, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
I would be
Yeah.
interested to hear about your guides and some of the things you've experienced as well.
My guides are, and to find out more about my relationship with my guides and the rest of my conversation with Allie, check out the Spatial Spectacle on Patreon. Thanks for listening.